Hey guys, today is day 11 of my... You guys will probably think it's kind of weird if my nipple's in this whole video, huh?
Hey guys, this is Cody, and today is day 11 of my 30-day trial of a dairy-free diet. And today I weighed in at 200.8 pounds, and I know it seems like my weight is kind of fluctuating a little bit, but that's normal for me. Within a few pounds, even within the day, in the morning and at night, my weight will change between 2 to 5 pounds, depending on how much water or food I've eaten or drinking that day. Eating or drinking, eating or drunk. Anyways, for breakfast I had some Kashi cereal with almond milk, coconut flavored, and a banana. For lunch I had some rice and sweet and sour chicken. For dinner I had a BLT and a salad. And this was the most difficult BLT and salad that I've ever eaten because I ate it from Cheesecake Factory. And we're not really going to go there, but very hard to make a non-dairy meal choice at the Cheesecake Factory. And very hard not to eat a huge 5-pound piece of cheesecake. Today what I'm going to be talking about is the potential relationship of dairy products to diabetes. Now, I haven't read all of the studies out there, or even the majority of studies out there, but I have read a few, and I'm just going to give you kind of what my perception is as of now and what the findings seem to be showing. So first, I'll talk a little bit about what type 1 diabetes is, or maybe diabetes in general. Diabetes in general is when your body can't handle sugar, glucose, like it normally should be able to. There are two reasons. One, either you don't have insulin, or two, your body's not responding to the insulin or the level of insulin that you're producing. What is insulin? Insulin is the it is the molecule that tells your fat cells and your muscle cells to take up the sugar from your blood. So when you eat a Starburst, the sugar goes in your stomach, gets broken down into small molecules of glucose. Those glucose are absorbed into your blood. From your blood, they need to go into your cells so that your cells can use that glucose for energy. To get into those cells, it needs somebody to let them in, kind of like the bouncer. I don't know. So glucose needs insulin to get into the cells. And if insulin isn't there, it can't get into the cells. It ends up depositing into other organs and nerves and things that cause a lot of problems, basically. That's why diabetics have all of these problems. So, type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 1, it occurs in younger aged people. There have been kind of many hypotheses as to what causes it. But basically what ends up happening is it's an autoimmune phenomenon. If you don't know what autoimmune diseases are, they are basically like allergies to something your own body produces. It's an allergy to an organ or a part of yourself. And so I know you guys all know what allergies are. Normally your body is supposed to reject any antibodies, the things that fight foreign antigens, foreign bad guys. Your body is supposed to select out those antibodies that are no good, that are wanting to kill something that's yours, that shouldn't kill, that's good. Well, for some reason in type 1 diabetes, your body decides to kill the islet cells of the pancreas, which is where the insulin comes from. And one idea that I've heard in the past is that some people think that a viral infection can trigger type 1 diabetes after this viral infection. And basically how that works is bacteria and viruses and some other things that want to infect us, they're smart, kind of. It's very interesting, actually, and this is a much longer discussion that I'm going to get into, but basically it's like this. For bacteria or viruses to kind of be able to survive in our body, sometimes they mimic. Antigenic mimicry, it's called. They mimic certain molecules in our body. But usually there are some very small differences, but somehow they make themselves look like they are supposed to be there so that our body doesn't kill them. But what happens is somehow our body is smart enough to realize that they're not supposed to be there anyways, or when it finally figures it out, it makes these antibodies to kill it. But then for the same reason that they were blending in before, now those antibodies are less selective for that foreign thing, whether it's a virus or bacteria. And those antibodies actually can attack ourselves. So I guess the theory in the past that I've heard is that some people think that we get infected by a virus. That virus has some sort of antigenic. Antigenic means danger, kind of dangerous, danger stimulating, a trigger, a red flag on it. That's basically what antigenic means. So the theory is that some people think that there's a virus that when it infects us, it has with it some sort of antigenic material, protein or whatever, that is causing our body to attack it. And that antigenic material is so close to something else in our body. In the case of type 1 diabetes, it's so close to the islet cells of Langerhans, or whatever they're called, in the pancreas. It's so close to these specific cells, and by it's close to, I mean it looks like it, on a molecular level, it resembles it. So when our body sees that, it says, well, we've got this virus, we need to kill that. And then it makes these specific cells dedicated to kill that. But then these cells get confused with these islet cells, which look so similar, so they kill that too. I know that's kind of confusing, but I'm really trying to summarize a lot of immunology in just a few short minutes. But these other studies that I'm reading were pointing towards different things, some possible dietary triggers of this. And did you know that in dairy milk, a lot of times you get cow insulin? And cow insulin isn't the same as human insulin. They're very similar, just like most of our genetics are very similar to other animals. The cow insulin is very similar to human insulin, but it's a little different. Sound familiar? Kind of like the viral antigenicity and the human cells being very similar? Well, think about it like that. Cow insulin is definitely very similar. Seems almost more likely that the cow insulin would be more similar rather than a virus making this antigenic material kind of to hide and not get killed immediately. There is some research that's pointing at the likelihood of the insulin that comes in cow's milk to be related to that, especially in the first few months of life. So if you have this baby and it's developing its immune system, and then it gets this cow insulin and it doesn't recognize that as self, it makes antibodies towards that, but those antibodies aren't necessarily as specific as they should be, and then they end up attacking your own insulin-making cells. So it's a very interesting concept, and there were some studies, and what they did is they took a few different groups, and they gave some kids just regular cow's milk, and other kids had cow's milk, but it was a whey-based, and they took out the cow insulin that came in the milk. And what they found was it was a lot more likely for the kids that had the insulin still, this regular cow's milk protein, to develop type 1 diabetes. Now, after I read this, I said, well, let me look for some other studies that are supporting it, that have the same findings or different findings, whatever. So I just searched, and I found another article that was talking about diabetes and dairy, but it was talking about type 2 diabetes, which is the result of basically being on an American fat diet for your whole life, being sedentary and whatever, and now that usually comes on later in life, but more recently it's been happening early and earlier because we're being fatter and fatter. And what it is your body gets resistant to the insulin. You're eating so much sugar all the time, your body, for some reason, gets desensitized to the amount of insulin that your pancreas can produce. So you need to help it or take medications to. So this other article that I was reading was basically talking about the potential of yogurt to be protective against type 2 diabetes. But it's pretty interesting. I didn't read about fully about the whole study because it was just more of a subsequent thing. I'll try to look more into that. But maybe you shouldn't give kids cow's milk and then maybe start eating yogurt when you're older. I don't know. Anyways, see you tomorrow, guys. Bye.